the City of Apache Junction's council meeting to order. The invocation will be led by Vice Mayor Rizzi, and the pledge will be done by Mr. Schroeder.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being gathered here today to do the city's business on behalf of our constituents. We ask that each of us be guided by you in the decisions that we make that will affect others and not by any personal agenda or ego. We ask to be humble in our disagreements and that we never forget we are here to serve the people of this beautiful community. Father, we continue to pray for the citizens of Ukraine as we ask for your protection for all of our first responders, those serving in our military, and all of their family members. We ask that they be brought home safely each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Present.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Nesser.
Present.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Now, before I begin the meeting, I want to make a little bit of a statement at the very beginning. Before we get started, I want everyone to understand the call of the public is a courtesy. It's not required as an agenda item. It is a courtesy that we have done. There's appropriate way to when you're addressing the council and should be strictly adhered to. The call of the public is a time for the public to express their requests, communications, comments, and proposed suggestions. What it is not a personal platform to air your grievances, to make accusations, call out individuals, or even threaten anyone. There is an appropriate process to follow. If you want to contact the city, and you contact the city through the main phone number of 480-982-8002, and they can help you in proceeding with that with a major complaint. If comments astray from the purpose, I will provide you with a warning, and the second time I will gavel you and have you be seated. There will be zero tolerance in this matter. So I just want everyone to understand where I'm coming from. Okay. Consent agenda. As a reminder, on the items under consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If there's a council member that wishes to approve an item or move an item for further discussion, requests will be made prior to approving the consent agenda and will be moved to new business. Do I have a motion for a consent agenda?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Schroeder.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi.
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser.
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay, awards and presentations and documents. I have a proclamation here, which I will go through. Building Safety Month. Whereas the City of Apache Junction recognizes that the prosperity of its residents, visitors, and city itself depend on sharing the trust that the home that they visit and purchase and apartments they rent, offices that they work in, and businesses that they support and shop are safe and healthy and will maintain their value. And whereas our confidence and resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through devotion and vigilant guardians such as building safety, fire inspection, officers, architects, engineers, building design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction and maintenance of buildings. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code council to remind the public about our critical role in our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local office officials who assure us safety, sustainability, and affordability buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Safety for All, Building Codes in Action, the theme of Building Safety Month 2022, encourage all of us to raise awareness about planning for safe and sustainable construction. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider and commit to improving building safety, resiliency, economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore I, Chip Wilson, Mayor, City of Apache Junction, do by proclaim the month of May as Building Safety Month. And I'll have Adrian I lost his last name. Elvira, will you please come up and receive it? I apologize. All of a sudden I drew a blank. Thank you.
Smile pretty.
We end up in these things anyway. We might as well just stay and smile, because it's weird when we're off to the side and looking funny.
Got that
You want to
beard.
say something?
Like you're hiding along.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'll just add that Adrian's our deputy building official and is also Dave Zellner's last couple weeks with us. So after 7 years with us, Dave Zellner is going to be moving into the private sector. So just a little heads up on that, and we're grateful for his service, and Adrian, we're looking forward to his service to the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Regional intergovernment updates. Does council have anything on intergovernment?
I just have
Yes.
one quick announcement. Just for the month of March, the Apache Junction Community Development Corporation, which is completely 100% volunteers, and there's no paid anybody, just on donations. In the month of March, we removed 17.5 tons of garbage from people's properties, total of $2,500. In just 1 month, we removed 1,700 tons from code cases. So it's a lot of work and a lot of volunteers that are truly dedicated to making Apache Junction more livable. That's all.
Anyone else? Well, I've got a couple. Vice Mayor and myself attended the Golden Rule banquet and had an opportunity to, I'll say, fellowship and communicate with other communities and in the aspect of the Golden Rule. And of course, it's one of the things that we all strive to maintain. We are a Golden Rule community, and we keep on the aspect of treating everybody the same and working with everyone. Also had the opportunity to do a sponsorship of the governor's annual prayer breakfast, and went to, there's a wonderful picture of it. We were back in the corner over there somewhere. But we had the opportunity to listen to several prominent people throughout the, say the government, whether it's state or national, who gave us a little bit of a speech and little activities as well as a prayer. And of course, one of the things that came out of this was, number one, is we wanted to definitely pray for water. We are short again this year, and the governor got up and spoke, and it was a very, I would say, well-attended, as you can see, event, and it was something that I was definitely proud to be part of. And then I attended the CAG, PRT. Yeah.
Pinal Regional Transportation
Yes,
Authority.
thank you. I'll tell the war story. He calls me up and says he can't attend it, and I thought he said parts meeting. And I'm figuring, what the heck am I going to do for parts for air conditioning? It wasn't until I came in to find out what it was. But this was.
Oh, come on.
But this was where we're talking about the Pinel tax that the Supreme Court has basically overturned, and we're working on trying to bring this back to the community to address the mistake that was made and go forward with that. So, no one else has any other comments, so we'll continue on. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tonight we have here with us our auditor, Kevin Camberg, and annually we have him come and present some of the findings. And Kevin, why don't we have you come on up first? Kevin, go ahead.
Thank you, Bryant. Thank you for having me. I promise to not take too much of your time. I did want to start by thanking the accounting staff. I don't know if you know this, but this is the 23rd year that you've got the Award of Excellence. What that means is your audit gets submitted to an organization called the GFOA, and it stands for Government Office Association. But they review your annual financial report, the CAFR, in detail, and then if it's prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, you get that award, and it's 23 straight years you've got that. We audit it, but your staff actually puts it together, and Leslie, and they do a lot. It's a lot of hard work. It's hundreds of pages, which I promise not to go through. It's a real. Not every city gets it. In fact, many cities do not get it. So I think that should be acknowledged. As far as how the audit went, it was a very positive audit from two perspectives, the only two that really matter. We didn't have audit adjustments to get to your clean opinion. You have a clean opinion on your financial statements. The numbers were accurate before we started the process, as opposed to waiting for us to correct errors. So that gives you timely information to make informed decisions throughout the year and not have to wait for the audit. So that's the one thing. And then just from a financial perspective, obviously you've had influx of increased tax revenue and also a lot of federal funding that occurred this year and is occurring in the current period as well. So your balance sheet and income statement look very healthy. It was a very successful year from that perspective. Just want to tell you kind of what's in that document. I'm going to just give you an overview. It's hundreds of pages, and if you can go in and look at it. But it's really broken out into, you have a transmittal letter that kind of tells a little bit about the city. And then there's something called management's discussion and analysis, and I always go to that because that kind of breaks out the highlights of what's going on in the financial statements. If you can, it's about page 7. You go down to that, just to give people in the room an idea. So that's a transmittal letter, and you go beyond that. And then that's the audit report, and after the audit report should be, there you go, one more page. It's called Management's Discussion and Analysis, and it's really kind of, like it says there, financial highlights of what's going on in the city, in the government. It's required for all governments, and you guys do it. It's written by staff. We audit the numbers, make sure they tie the statements, but they do a great job. Following the MD&A is the financial statements. Well, first is our audit opinion, MD&A, financial statements, notes that follow, which are, if you have trouble sleeping, you can go into those in great detail. And then you have a statistical section, and there's a lot of breakout on your debt of the city, number of employees in the city, unemployment rate. Really, it's really everything you would want to know about Apache Junction or any city. And why you go through this trouble to get the CAFR and to do all the statistical, because those aren't required. They are required for a CAFR, but it helps you with getting your bond rating, lowering your interest rate. They really do look at all that information you compile, and it makes the cost of borrowing less for the city. So it is worth all the agony putting together this document. Just a couple highlights. I wanted to touch, in the statements. You had a very positive year as far as the bottom line. Wanted to go to that real quick. The general fund had net income of about 7.5 million, or revenues exceeding expenditures. So you've increased your fund balance in the general fund by almost doubled it. In fact, more than doubled it in that 1 year in 2021. So you're in a great position from a financial perspective as far as where your general fund stands. Also, one of the things I think is unique about this city is that your debt, the amount of outstanding debt compared to your balance sheet, and debt to equity is a common ratio that analysts look at. You're very unleveraged. I just made that term up, but you don't have a lot of debt compared to your assets like other cities that of your size. So from that perspective, you're also in very good shape. And then the last thing, you did fall under the single audit, which means we have to test federal compliance this year. You don't always have over $750,000 of federal funding. You did this year. So we did that additional testing where we test federal programs, we test controls over compliance, and we did not report any findings. You have fallen under that the last 3 years. You didn't used to have that much federal funding. Obviously, you were way over 750 in the last fiscal year. So no findings there. Also, in our control testing over the financial statements, we test internal control over the numbers that end up in this statement. In these financial statements, we didn't have findings this year, and that's the second straight year we haven't had that. So that's great. Sorry I don't have any more exciting things to present. I guess if I were on council, I'd like uneventful, and I would say these statements are uneventful, except the financial highlights are quite positive. So it's just a well-managed organization.
Good to hear.
Anyone got any questions?
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for having me, and thanks you guys for all your hard work. So, all
That's
right.
great.
Thanks,
compliment.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Great.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
out.
We'll see you.
One of those
see you next-
situations where no news is good news.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I will note that the whole report can be found on our website, publicly available. Just go to apachejunction.az.gov, look under finance, and you'll see a financial reports section that all of our past annual reports are on, all of the development feed reports, all that stuff is all publicly available.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for having me.
Your Honor, now at this time, I'd like to invite Al Bravo up for current events. You could pull that up, Matt.
Do my best to clear my throat there a little bit. Good evening, members of the City Council, Mayor Wilson. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the City of Apache Junction. A couple of announcements for you on this particular Tuesday night. The first is one that Madam Clerk Pena asked us to mention, and that is next week, or actually in 2 weeks, is Professional Municipal Clerks Week. And although there isn't a big celebration plan or anything else, we do want to acknowledge all the work that the City Clerk's Office does. The municipal clerks serve as the information center for the functions of local government and the community, and continually strive to improve the administration of the office of the municipal clerk, and of course the city by extension, through education programs, seminars, workshops, and other meetings with their counterparts at all different parts of government throughout. So we like to acknowledge at least Municipal Clerks Week on the first week of May. A reminder that this Saturday is Earth Day here in Apache Junction. Big event at Earth Heart Park over at Horizon Health and Wellness, which is, of course, on Superstition Boulevard, just west of Idaho on Plaza. Yes, we're going to be releasing thousands of ladybugs, just like we used to. That'll be happening sometime after 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, so come out. A lot of fun, vendors, foods, all kinds of fun stuff going on at Earth Heart Park on Saturday. Our illustrious Economic Development Director is going to be part of a very a new and initiative that our Apache Junction Area Chamber of Commerce is embarking on. They're going to be doing this Economic Outlook session on April the 28th, which is a week from Thursday, right here in our own multi-generational center. You can go to ajchamber.com and see all the details for that, and hopefully you can join us for that. A really good time with all the things that are going on around us in Arizona, as well as, of course, nationally, internationally, to see where we stand with so many things on the horizon, economically speaking, for the city of Apache Junction and, of course, Pinal County as well. Did want to give a shout out to the Apache Junction Parks and Recreation Department. The mayor and I got a chance to spend some time with about 9 million kids on Saturday morning for our annual Easter egg hunt. It was a smashing success and a beautiful day, and those parks folks sure know how to handle a lot of people all in one place. And Prospector Park was a very happy place to be on Saturday morning. One more thing, very, very exciting, of course, for the city. The city's first off-leash dog park opens on April the 30th. So please come and join us for our opening celebration on Saturday, April 30th. There'll be a lot of stuff going on out at the new park. For those of you who are still not aware, our first dog park is opening on the 30th, right across the street from City Hall here on the corner of Superstition and Idaho, the southeast corner. What used to be a retention basin there at the county complex has been transformed into the city's first dog park, and it is a pretty cool place if you haven't seen it. And we're going to take a few pictures here so everybody can take a look and get ready for April the 30th, and hopefully you will join us then. And that is your announcements for tonight.
Yeah, I forgot to talk about the egg hunt. There was a lot of kids out there, and it was a lot of fun seeing them all around. And parking was another major problem again, so. Yeah.
Another good growth opportunity.
Yes.
To improve.
Your Honor, can I just share something about an event? I just wanted to share an event that took place last weekend. It's a fundraiser, annual fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club, their yesteryear. And it was their best year ever. This just speaks to the community as far as fundraising. They raised, I think it's up to $150,000
Okay, yeah, I
this
knew
year,
it was
the
over
most they've ever
140.
raised.
Yeah.
It was packed. It was a full house, sold out. Always a lot of fun, people dressing up, and a lot of people from the community volunteer. Obviously, it's a great way to support our local kids in the community. They did an excellent job. Huge shout out to them. Mayor was there, and I know Peg was volunteering. We all kind of pitched in a little bit, but
Yeah, did the chief make it? I just want to make
yes.
Was he dressed up?
Yeah, yeah.
Good, okay.
We didn't. I was hoping Al had pictures of the Golden Rule event, because our chief got to sit with
Marie Osmond. I heard
Marie
about that, yeah.
Osmond. Yeah, he's very humble, and he didn't mention that. So, yeah, she was working her way to our table.
She needed extra protection?
Got a little interrupted, but he actually got to sit with her, so that was another treat. Anyhow, thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's just remarkable, the support that comes from all areas in our community to help our youth. You know, they were in a transition year, and they moved from one location to another, and all indication is that they're thriving and doing well, which is great news. Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes the manager's report.
Okay, we have no public hearings, so no old business. And under new business, presentation, discussion, and consideration of Resolution 22-08 regarding the Apache Junction Economic Development Strategic Plan. Janie?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Janine Solly, Economic Development Director for the city. So excited to be here this evening with you and to share the outcome of the Economic Development Strategic Plan update. initiative that we actually requested from you last June at your city council retreat. Thank you so much for getting the ball rolling back then, also for staying involved and being a stakeholder in the process as it evolved. So there's also many staff members, community leaders, utility folks, economic development partners, and business owners who all actually participated and shared their input and their ideas as well to craft the plan, so I want to thank them all. The last time the city embarked on an economic development strategic plan was in 2005, so an update was well overdue. And with the city's recent annexation of the 6,600 acres, the SR 24, the north-south corridor, and just the unprecedented growth that we've been seeing in the Southeast Valley, not only was it a critical time to do something, but just really a perfect time to kind of get an update and make sure that we were on track with our community's goals and the opportunities that lie before us. I do want to take you back a bit, though. I started to talk about the need for an updated plan with a colleague of mine at SRP, Carla Moran, and that was probably about 2 years ago. And I want to publicly acknowledge her and SRP because of their generous assistance. They have been able to allow us to engage with a first-rate economic development strategic consulting firm to get this to happen. Not only did SRP provide the funding to do this, they actually provided a tremendous amount of staff support throughout the entire process. So I want to offer my heartfelt thanks to Mark Valenzuela, who was with us every step of the way, and he is here tonight with us as well. So SRP brought on Boyette Strategic Advisors out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and Tracy from Atlanta. And they have worked with communities all over the country. They've crafted plans based on community needs and opportunities. They've shared best practices with communities, and they've made positive community impacts when they work with them. So I want to thank this stellar team that I was able to work with over the last several months, Del Boyette, Tracy Sharp, and Brock Highland, who have dedicated extraordinary amounts of time with us. They've shared invaluable knowledge and a perspective that they were able to bring to us. And they've put together a really well-rounded and aspirational strategy for our community. So the result of the months of the efforts that they've and you all have put in have culminated into the strategic plan that you have in your packets tonight. So staff is recommending after the presentation tonight that you approve by resolution and officially adopt this strategic plan as our work plan for economic development and the community. So without further ado, I want to turn this over to the incredible team at Boyette, and I think they're going to start and kick things off with this exceptionally creative and knowledgeable Mr. Del Boyette.
Thank you, Janine, and thank you, Mayor and Council and Vice Mayor, for giving us the opportunity to work with you on this strategic plan. And I guess I would agree with your description of it was an honor to work with the illustrious Janine Solly. She can be described as illustrious twice this evening. She was a delight to work with. She's very knowledgeable, and you obviously have a jewel economic development director in Janine. It's a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. I want to remind you of that. These recommendations and these action steps are not something that will be accomplished in the first 30 days, but there's nothing in this plan that we don't believe, based upon research, based upon talking and involving you all and a lot of people in Apache Junction, that we don't believe can be implemented. If we didn't believe they can be implemented and to make this place a better place for all of the residents and those people that you prayed for in your prayer tonight, then it would not be in the strategic plan. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy Sharp, who led this project for our team. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you.
Move this down a little bit. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Nice to see all of you. I believe we all spoke at some point in this process by, I think, Zoom, for sure. It's good to see you, and I'm glad we're here at this point to present this plan to you tonight. To start out, there's probably over 40 action items in this plan, but we'll hit them on pretty high level. I'm not going to take too much of your time this evening. But to start out, one thing that we did was obviously identify what are the best targeted business sectors or industry sectors that Apache Junction Economic Development and the city itself should be focused on over the next 3 to 5 years. And the ones you see here, the 4 target sectors that we identified were manufacturing, which I know is broad, but we do think there's opportunities around all manufacturing, but we did zone in on a specific focus on electronic equipment and components manufacturing and electric and autonomous vehicles manufacturing, just based on things that are going on in the region in general. And then also distribution logistics is another good target that we think should be a focus. And then we think there's a need to continue to build on your retail base to provide those amenities to both residents and companies that may be locating. And then also hospitality, entertainment, and tourism. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I think that is a definite opportunity for this area in the future, for this city in the future. And there's, in the actual plan itself, as you've probably already seen, there are target profiles that outline the reason and the rationale for each of these targets. And then we came up with what we focused in on 4 strategic priorities that you see here. So business recruitment and expansion, what we're focused on is increasing those activities to support the attraction of new business and industry, as well as obviously to continue to support your existing business and industry. And then workforce development, obviously you've got to have workforce to support those existing and new business and industry, and you want to ensure that they have the future pipeline of talent that they need moving forward. And then with livability, you want to continue to enhance the livability assets that attract those businesses as well as residents, including such things as downtown development, housing development, and in just improving public education and other things. And then tourism development. We think you need to concentrate more efforts on enhancing and marketing your tourism assets. So related to business recruitment and expansion, the goal would be to increase your business recruitment and expansion activities. And that would, obviously, this is a very important part of economic development in general, and it must be a focus going forward to both support your existing business base and attract new. So you want to first enhance your partner relationships. And so that means to continue to engage with your more partners in the region. As the Phoenix MSA continues to expand and with its land availability, Apache Junction, I keep calling it AJ, has an opportunity to become the next major location for new manufacturing and or distribution logistics operations. So related to that, AJED, Economic Development, must increase those activities by partnering with SRP, GPEC, Arizona Commerce Authority, and others. And so that will be a big focus. And then focus on product development. You've got to have product to attract new business and industry and for those that are existing that want to expand. And obviously you have state-owned land here, and that's actually going to be an opportunity, we think, for you. So designate areas of state-owned land for industrial and commercial use, and make sure that those are designated for both moving forward. And then begin infrastructure planning for the state-owned land. You've got to start thinking about how the planning to get that state-owned land, what will be needed to get it ready when you're able to move forward with attracting new business and industry to that. So you're going to need to work with your partners to make that happen. And then pursue funding to meet those site infrastructure needs. So work with your partners to explore all the funding options around that. And then identify and market available product. So identify and market the land in Apache Junction, including the state-owned land and property that would be suitable for the location of manufacturing and distribution operations, as well as potential commercial projects. And all of that identified product should appear on the site and building databases of SRP and other partners. And then explore land purchase opportunities for development and redevelopment. So identify land purchase opportunities in Apache Junction on property that is not state-owned land that presents an opportunity for development or redevelopment. And that could be dilapidated properties that have been identified that for need for revitalization near downtown or those around transportation corridors. And consider partnerships with developers to redevelop those. And then consider development of a marketed district or corridor for new industrial, office, and retail opportunities. So with the available land that you have, with the State Route 24 extension, with the access to US 60, you have all these places that can be designated as possibly a marketed district or corridor, maybe on a smaller scale than what you may be familiar with in Glendale. They did the New Frontier District, and that's been very successful for them. And so that's something that should be considered as well. And then identify and market to regional developers. So you need to develop a list of these developers and market to them the opportunities that you're going to have with this land that you've identified, as well as the state-owned land opportunities. And then develop local incentive programs to entice developers. I know everybody loves incentives. They're always, incentives are incentives. But you have provided some incentives in the past. And we think, and you're also considering, I think, offering some others. And we do think for competitive situations where you've got a manufacturing or a distribution operation that's considering a development or a redevelopment project that offers a significant return on investment, you might need to consider some other programs. And so we're recommending you develop some incentive guidelines. And we've suggested some potential programs, which could include a one-stop shop for development review, permits and licensing, reductions in building permit and plan review fees, potentially impact fees, designating newly identified sites as redevelopment areas so that they qualify for the GIPLET incentive at the state level that's available through the state, and then explore a fund for public infrastructure improvements for certain high-impact projects. And then also support existing business and expansion. And this is just to develop a support program for existing business and industry so that Janine will go out and visit and have these face-to-face meetings with existing industry to make sure that, Apache Junction is meeting their needs and that they continue to expand here in the future. And then support entrepreneurs and small business. So continue to partner with Central Arizona College, on entrepreneurship. So obviously supporting small business development increases innovation, collaboration, and results in job creation down the line. And there is a small business development center at Central Arizona College, so that should be definitely marketed and capitalized on. But then also begin to assess the entrepreneurial programs at CAC and at the high school level. So they offer a Business Associate of Applied Science degree that does provide some skills for starting your own business, but they don't appear to have any specific programs. So assess and market those programs and continue to monitor and determine the need for additional entrepreneurial education programs, both at CAC as well as at the high school level. And then explore the creation of the Apache Junction Entrepreneurial Center. And that might be a little more of a long-term goal, but we do think, this would be in partnership, obviously, with Central Arizona College, and consider that could be on the CAC campus, or it could be maybe at the public library. So explore different options there. We did include a best practice in the plan related to Goodyear Innovation Hub, which is located in the Goodyear Branch Public Library, and it provides free space for entrepreneurs and small businesses, a place where they can network and collaborate. So that's what we're talking about when we say the Apache Junction Entrepreneurial Center. And then enhance the economic development structure. So consider the creation of an economic development advisory council, and this would be comprised of 3 to 5 select partners, which could include utilities, representatives of local companies, and others to be determined. And they would serve as an advisory role in economic development matters, including involvement in the implementation of this strategic plan, and potentially meet monthly and then report to the City Council periodically on how that is going. And then create an economic development specialist or similar position. To implement this plan, Janine's probably going to need some support, and we think that that position would be good, and I think that's already been discussed. And then workforce development. Ensure existing and future business and industry have access to a pipeline of talent. So focus on enhancement of training opportunities. is the first strategy. And then engage with the CAC to provide customized workforce training to employers. CAC's workforce education team already collaborates with business to develop a skilled and trained workforce, but it's not clear they're providing that here in Apache Junction. And so what we're suggesting here is you work with employers during these yearly meetings to identify what are their needs, and then you work with CAC to develop the programs that those employers need long-term. And then assess the need to enhance career and technical education programs at the high school level. Again, we know there's a career and technical education department at the Apache Junction High School, and what we're recommending here is that you work with them, you work with the East Valley Institute of Technology, and you work with the Apache Junction Unified School District to assess those existing career and technical education programs, identify any gaps, and make sure that you can meet the needs of both your existing employers as well as any future employers that you're trying to target. And then work to expand higher education offerings. So again, work with the CAC to assess and identify the need for new degree programs. And again, you're going to focus on the things that your both existing industry need as well as your any new targeted industries that you want to attract would need. And then work to improve public education. Obviously, that is critical when it comes to workforce. And the AJ Unified School District is below the U.S. and Arizona average in several areas, including graduation rates, spending per pupil, and average teacher salary. And so what we're suggesting here is that you work with the Apache Junction Unified School District to increase that investment per pupil to at least be in line with the state average. And then the similar thing with the teacher salaries. And then also consider a teacher recruitment incentive program that offers relocation funds. And so this would be, both increasing the teacher salary, but also having a program that many cities have implemented across the country, these remote worker incentive programs. This would be a teacher recruitment incentive program. So it would be focused on attracting the more talented teachers to come to Apache Junction and hopefully result in better public education. And then livability, continue to enhance livability assets. So aggressively pursue development, redevelopment opportunities. So right now you've got a number of redevelopment areas, and so what we're recommending is that you basically review those and then determine if there's a need to maybe consolidate them into one RDA focused on the downtown area maybe, and then identify other areas that may be good for that as well. And then revisit existing designated infill incentive districts. And what that is it's a place that has vacant or older dilapidated buildings or structures and continuing to decline in population. And so the city has also designated some of those already. And so we're recommending again that you review those and determine if there's a need to continue those or to designate additional ones, because what that does is it allows you to have that expedited processing, expedited zoning, rezoning processes. And then create a redevelopment commission. So an Apache Junction Redevelopment Commission would consider new proposals for development, monitor current projects, and implement the redevelopment plan. And so basically this is just someone to come together, have accountability for those RDAs and for those infill incentive districts and make sure that what is happening with those needs to happen and they move forward. And then develop a new plan for downtown development. So I think your last plan was in 2010. And so there is probably a need for that, and obviously that would include some of the retail we talked about, entertainment, address hopefully maybe some multifamily housings, trail connections, possibly a new hotel, and then create an entertainment district in downtown on a related note. So as you guys know, under state law, cities may designate an entertainment district, which is defined as an area with a significant number of entertainment, artistic, and cultural venues. And so we think your downtown area should be designated as an entertainment district. And then focus on housing development and redevelopment. So explore opportunities to purchase and develop these dilapidated homes and buildings. And we heard this a lot through the stakeholder engagement process, that this was a challenge here. And so we're recommending to first identify the homes or buildings that are dilapidated, and then re-review your current city code that allows for condemnation to determine how that can be improved. And then enforce the revised code, and then seek funding related to that. So there may be funds under CDBG funding, Community Development Block Grants, state special project funding, and then there may also be state housing funds for residential-related ones, and then developers may be willing to partner with the city on some new redevelopment project. And then explore creation of a Rebuilding AJ Neighborhoods program. So here, Apache Junction, I think, had a similar program to this a number of years ago called the Strong Sustainable Communities Program. And so what we're recommending here is that you create a neighborhood services division under the Development Services Department, and then formally create this Rebuilding AJ Neighborhoods program. And that may include a housing rehabilitation program, seeking development of more affordable housing units, a cleanup campaign, and potentially creation of a loan program that would assist homeowners and neighborhood associations. And that also could be funded potentially with some CDBG funding, SSP funding. We've seen this take place in Yuma. Yuma had a Rebuilding Yuma Neighborhoods program that was very successful that you can read about in the plan more if you haven't already. And then consider mobile home redevelopment ideas. So we know you're a popular winter destination, or a destination for winter visitors coming to get away from the cold, I guess. And there's about an estimated 125 mobile home and recreational vehicle parks in the city, and some need redevelopment. And so what we're recommending here is that you consider, some programs that will help that over time. And that could include requiring licensing and registration for new and existing trailer park owners and with related fees, passing city ordinance that restrict or limit future mobile home park expansion and development, incenting developers to redevelop some of these properties, and then transitioning them into tiny home villages, which I'm going to talk about right now. So explore the idea of tiny home development. And I'm sure you've heard this trend of tiny home development. And so with the cost of housing increasing, many cities are looking for new ways to provide this quality and reasonably priced housing in their community. And also with cost going up in construction and that kind of thing. So it's become kind of a trend, both with millennials, the younger people wanting to kind of get out in nature, as well as some older people. The over 50 crowd is also interested in this now. And so there's been some organizations in Arizona. There's the Aspire Fund, which established a tiny home development in Flagstaff. There's others that have done it throughout the state. And so we're recommending, that you guys look at something like this, that it could potentially be built in place of existing mobile home parks that need redevelopment. It could also be developed to support the tourism sector, providing a place for tourists to stay. And one example of that, I think, is Tiny Camp in Sedona. And that was a tiny home retreat, and it was these 5 tiny homes with these views. I mean, you have the views of the Superstition Mountains. And so that could be a really good idea on the tourism side as well, this idea of tiny homes. And then related to tourism development, the goal would be to enhance tourism assets and marketing efforts. So focus on recreational tourism. First of all, I know you're already doing some things to enhance your trail system, and we're recommending that you continue that and you try to attach that both for hiking, biking, horseback riding, and make sure it connects throughout the city. That should be the goal. And then continue to develop more walking, biking, horse paths around the city on a related note. And then support and attract tourism operators. So there should be a targeted focus on attracting more tourism operators, such as we know there's already some horseback riding and touring, but there may be some more opportunity there, hiking guides, mountain road bike rental companies, anything related to that recreational tourism aspect. And then focus on attracting outdoor and recreational retail to downtown and other areas. So related to the retail target sector, there should be a focus on attracting outdoor sporting equipment stores to Apache Junction to further support recreational tourism. And we did find in a retail gap analysis support that retail within a 10-minute drive of Apache Junction has a nearly $6 million gap between supply and demand for sporting goods stores. And if you do that within 45-minute drive time, it's a $62 million gap between supply and demand. So that means there's more demand than supply for those sporting goods outdoor recreation stores, and it ties in with this idea of Apache Junction being the place for recreational tourism. And then pursue hotel development. We know this is something, there's already been a study done on this. We do think working to attract a franchise hotel near new transportation corridors is probably the way to go. We know your feasibility study did recommend a certain site for hotel development, and we think ideally the city would have control or options on this site. And then funds to cover infrastructure costs will be another valuable incentive that could be used, possibly designated as an RDA, so you can take advantage of the GIPLET incentive. And then AJ needs to develop the case that it can support a limited service hotel in its market related to that. So create a 1 to 2 page summary that shows those positive aspects, a lot probably coming from the study, the feasibility study that you've already done, and identify developers that do those kinds of developments in the region and market to them. And then focus on attraction of a guest or dude ranch resort with a restaurant overlooking the mountains. The mountains are beautiful. You guys have a great place for that here. You'd have to find the exact site, but we know you have it. So a dude ranch, there's a couple in Wickenburg, Arizona, you may be familiar with. And so again, it includes lodging, meals, horseback riding, fishing, hiking, and more activities such as that. I think Rancho Caballeros, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is one of the ones in Wickenburg. And Apache Junction, like Wickenburg, kind of has that western vibe with the Superstition Mountains and the horse trails and the Goldfield Ghost Town and the Lost Dutchman Days Rodeo. And so it provides that perfect backdrop, in our opinion, for a dude ranch. So we think you identify the property for that. What is the best property? And then consider a visit to Rancho Caballeros if you haven't already done that, to kind of see what you think of that and if that makes sense. And then look at incentives that may entice developers to develop that type of property here. And then another opportunity is your equestrian opportunities related to tourism. So assess those equestrian opportunities and embrace the equestrian community. So you have this environment now that includes horse boarding, training, trail riding tours, riding lessons. You have your rodeo. So what we're suggesting that you do here is to form this AJ Equestrian Business Roundtable that brings all of those equestrian-related businesses together to talk about the opportunities and focus on things such as expanding the rodeo presence. There's I think one rodeo here, there's 7 in Wickenburg. Why can't there be more here? Should there be more here? Maybe. Developing a market for horse shows, marketing AJ as the horse riding capital of Arizona, potentially. So those are just some ideas, and we think that would be led by the chamber in partnership with the Economic Development Department. And then continue to pursue purchase of the AJ rodeo grounds. I think this is something that's already been pursued. We think that should continue so that you can have control of that and further develop it and also use it for horse shows and other activities that can bring people and funding and tourism to the community. And then support other tourism assets as well. So pursue the annexation of the property to include the Superstition Mountain Museum and Goldfield Ghost Town. We know they're just right outside the city limits. And so they're 2 very popular tourism assets. So we think you should pursue that annexation. We know that could be a little difficult. But we think, first of all, you'll benefit from additional tax revenues, and it will allow for further annexation opportunities. And then the tourism entities will then get you guys helping to market them even more than you do now. And so also related to that, actively promote both sites. And then enhance tourism marketing and structure. So determine the primary entity responsible for tourism development in the community, and we suggest that be the Apache Junction Chamber of Commerce, obviously working in partnership with economic development for the things that impact that. And then determine a plan for the visitor center. So you have this visitor center that attracts, from our numbers that we saw, more than 30,000 visitors in a normal year. and it's the 6th most visited center in Arizona. And it's staffed by a team of 20, I'm sure, hardworking volunteers. But as you increase your tourism marketing efforts, there may be a need for a full-time staff person to run that visitor center, and maybe some other part-time or full-time positions to staff that long-term. And then also, you might want to look at whether there's a need to improve the visual appearance of the visitor center to kind of send a better message when people are coming to Apache Junction. And then market Apache Junction as a recreational, historical, and equestrian tourism destination. So we feel very strongly, and again, I've talked about some of these already, but you have all these significant recreational assets with Superstition Mountain, hiking trails, horseback riding, mountain biking, proximity to Lost Dutchman State Park, Canyon Lake. All of these make it very prominent, and our team definitely agrees, for Apache Junction to become this recreational destination, both locally and nationally. And so, and the equestrian I mentioned, the Western history as well. So we really think you should really jump on that and market that actively. And then finalize creation of the Apache Junction Tourism website. I think that's in process now. It's going to be called visitaj.com. We like that. And then revisit the partnership with Visit Mesa. So Visit Mesa, as you probably know, is a regional travel resource for the city of Mesa and the surrounding communities. So we're recommending you revisit a partnership with Visit Mesa for tourism marketing. It'll be a good way to get more tourism marketing of this area. And then establish social media accounts for tourism, so really stepping up that tourism effort. And then beginning to even more track and monitor these tourism statistics on an annual basis, so you know the total number of visitors to the visitor center, which I think you already track that. Your tourism and who's visiting these tourism assets annually, and how many people, visitors spending, number of overnight visitors, direct job creation, taxes generated, and other to be determined. So that is all of the 40-plus action items. And as you see here, I don't know if Dell wants to say anything about that, but he came up with this quote.
I get all the credit for that.
Yes, you do.
I do think that this quote sums it all up as far as this great place that you have is relates to economic development, to face the future with curiosity, optimism, and opportunity. And if you do that, you'll see some results for this place that you call home and so many people get to enjoy. And would you be even enjoying it more, and these companies invest here and create economic development opportunities for residents and people in the region.
And we would be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Got any questions over here? No?
No.
That's quite a Christmas list. We're on it.
We have
It's a 5-year strategy.
Yeah.
up to 5 years, and we have met with Janine and provided an implementation plan with, goals and that kind of thing.
Job security for Janine.
Well, one of the comments that I'm going to make is, so yes, we need to get the acquisition of the rodeo parks, and that will open that door for the equestrian community. Unfortunately, right now, the way it's tied up, it's very closed door and very hard to do things out there. So once we acquire it and we're working on it, then that opens the door for that. It's going to conclude a lot of your suggestions.
Great. Thank you.
Yes?
Your Honor, it just reminds me of the old Alice in Wonderland quote. Lewis Carroll said, if I got this right, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. It's been years since we've had this opportunity to be able to look at around the corner, where we're headed. It's another time, snapshot in time to do this. We thank you for coming and doing the research with our community, and it is aspirational, and that's you want to shoot for the stars, and we have a huge list, and we haven't done it for a while. It's time to do it. I'm really excited to have this here with us. There's a whole bunch to chew on. We'll make sure you have your answers to your questions you have as we go. That gives Janine that roadmap, and us as well as staff.
It was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I call for a motion on this.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the resolution number 22-08, adopting the findings and recommendations of the updated Apache Junction Economic Development Strategy Plan be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, Your Honor.
Okay. Thanks again for the presentation. Sure appreciate it. Selection of meeting dates and times and location. Do I have a motion on selection of dates and times for local budget review, work session, public hearing, and adoption of tentative and final budget for fiscal year 2022-2023?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just wanted to make a note there. The suggested motion in your packet there is correct. All the dates are correct in this one. And there was a small change you'll see in the calendar that's attached. It still has the old date of June 14th, which isn't a regular meeting night, but it's correct on the Monday, June 20th for final budget adoption. But just wanted to note that because during the Water District meeting, we just had some dates slightly off there, but these are the correct dates in the suggested motion.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the date, time, and location for budget work session, public hearing, and adoption of tentative and final budget for fiscal year
Yeah, that's wrong.
2022 to 2023. And be as follows. Budget work session, May 2nd, 2022. Tentative budget adoption and public hearing, Monday, May 16th, 2022, at a special meeting. And final budget adoption and public hearing on Monday, June 20th, 2022, at a special meeting.
Second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I don't know, it's
Seconded.
kind of wrong.
What is it, Gail?
Well, from what she read and what this is, and
No, that was,
this is the other one,
yes, yes.
but this says Monday, June 13th at a special meeting.
No.
We got,
The yellow sheet.
right?
The yellow sheet was the Water Utilities CFD.
Right.
And on June 13 and 14, that is not a regular week for city council meetings. So it'll be June 20th and 21st.
Which is the one listed in the motion on that Councilmember Nesser just read.
Okay. So I got it moved and seconded, so I have a roll call?
You bet. Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, do I have a motion for upcoming council dates?
Your Honor, I move that an executive session at 6 p.m. for Monday, May 2nd, and an executive session at 6 p.m. for Tuesday, May 3rd, in the City Council Conference Room located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard in Apache Junction, and other meetings scheduled if necessary.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rizzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, call to public. I'd like to remind everyone that a call to the public is a courtesy and not required by law. It is the time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must have been completed and handed to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Under the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a discussion on the issues presented, but may respond to criticism and may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly and/or place a matter on a future agenda for council discussion. There is a 3-minute limit for each speaker. And I have 4 speakers. So, Mr. Modine,
Good evening, Mahmood Mohiuddin, 2304 North Cortez Road, Apache Junction, Arizona. Mayor and the council and the city staff. Last week, there was a work session about working on Idaho Road, bike lines and sidewalks, all that matters, and there was budget set for it. I'm not sure that you guys have any budget set for the future or anything. And looking for the horse safety and horse crossing signs. And I hope that you guys can look into it. We consider as a western town, horse community, and we are not providing that kind of stuff or safety for those people, for the horse people. Just want to bring to you guys' attention, maybe this last time the federal funding came in, there was some money left over, moved out to the general fund for the COVIDs and all that stuff. Some money was used for the police department, and there was some money was sitting there, maybe in general funds. If you guys can look into it, provide the service to the community, the horse people will greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Donna Carr?
I am Donna Carr, Apache Junction resident. About the people that were just talking earlier, as far as, I know Apache Junction's growing fast. One thing that I like about Apache Junction is that I'm like 10 minutes from hiking, 20 minutes from the lake, 15 minutes from the river. But the way it sounds with giving incentives for industries and all that stuff is, and coming up with new codes to clean up certain areas and get rid of certain mobile home parks. Just to let you know, is a lot of these people that live in mobile home parks, for instance, I had a young girl that moved in behind me that came from one of these mobile home parks. Her mother, her brother, they lived in one of those small little campers in one of these mobile home parks. I'm glad she managed to help herself get up. She actually helped her brother to get up. Her mom did pass away. But the fact of the matter is you can't turn around and throw everybody off to the side and say it's okay to build and take over more or less properties. Like, for instance, I live in a mobile home park. It's on a private lot. But the fact is I don't want you coming in and saying, hey, well, your yard looks messy. In that case, we're going to tell you we're changing up all the codes here. So you're going to either have to change it or you got to get out. And I think that's wrong for that to happen. I mean, granted, you just got given the 7 miles south of baseline. And I've been trying to see if I could talk to, is it Patrick Brown? And see if there's any way that they can do something about helping some of these people who are on SSI. I mean, they get less than $800 a month to live on. You can only use 25% of that for rent. Good luck in finding a place. That's not anywhere. Now, I'm trying to see if I can get them to build something that would help some of these people. And he said maybe in his next section of development area, because this is already taken care of as far as being what they want to do with it. But I guess I care about the people. And I don't want to see the smaller guy get stomped on just so the bigger guy can get what he wants. It's just wrong. Thanks for your time.
Michelle Thies?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I hate public speaking. My name is Michelle Thies. I am the organizer of an event that's going to be held at Superstition Harley-Davidson at 2910 Apache Trail in Apache Junction. The event is International Female Ride Day. It's the 16th year. It's celebrated worldwide on the first Saturday in May by women riders collectively all around the globe. Our event is free, and that will be May 7th, departing Superstition Harley-Davidson. We are expecting over 200 female riders. We have ladies coming in from Nevada, California, New Mexico. Kind of interesting side note, we are riding to Superior. Superior has shut down their main street. Their mayor is going to be our grand marshal, and her city council members are going to ride up front on trikes as well. In working with Superstition Harley-Davidson on this event, we chose this location because the event coordinator there assured us that we would get a police escort through the town. It's our intention to take these riders, there's a side street behind Harley-Davidson that takes us up to Superstition Boulevard, over to Idaho, down to Baseline, and we need to safely get on the 60. I'm sure as everybody knows, there was an accident here very recently where 2 individuals were killed by somebody running a red light when they were on their trike through an intersection here. So safety is paramount for our event, and just this weekend I was informed by the event coordinator at Superstition Harley-Davidson that this police escort that was promised to us was not going to happen. I think she was working with a Lieutenant Thomas Parker at the Apache Junction Police Department. Time is running out for us. I know we have a new police chief, and I don't have any way to get a hold of him, but I implore this council and the mayor and the city manager, and I know we have Al Bravo here tonight, to consider the welfare of these ladies and assist us in obtaining some sort of cooperation with the city of Apache Junction and the police department for at least traffic control on the streets that will be. I know you can't discuss this because it's not on the agenda, but you have my contact information, and I look forward to hearing from you. Who are you pointing at? Oh, there's my man in uniform.
There's your police.
So we'll have you get with Chief Woolley here in a minute.
Okay, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
We can hand signal.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Dale Cross.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you. My name is Darrell Cross, 1018 North Acacia Road, Apache Junction. In conjunction with what Mo said regarding our horse community, I was really pleased to see how the strategic plan really recognizes this as being a very strong horse community, and we need to continue to push in that direction. He brought up the comments regarding signage. I know we're going through budget negotiations per se, or budget, looking into our new budget, and I'm hoping that we can come up with some extra funding for more signage for not just our equestrians, but for all of our crossings that are multi-use crossings, bicycle, hiking, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one point that I have tonight. Another point I have is I was recently spent a week up in Flagstaff working, and the entire area around Flagstaff is closed to camping. All areas of Coconino National Forest has been shut down. You cannot camp within like 5 miles of the city, and that's the entire perimeter around the city. And they implemented that for 2 major reasons: the hazardous waste that was being accumulating from all the human waste, and the extreme fire danger. For instance, what Prescott is going through right now. They don't want to see that happen either. I recently helped clean up the desert right over here by the roundabout. And some of the campfires that they had burnt the undergrowth from underneath the trees. We're lucky we didn't lose that whole section of land, kind of like what we lost up there at Lost Dutchman in '88. We're that close to having that. And I'm wondering if there's a way that we can implement a no camping zone around our city to kind of work with the state land managers and also Tano National Forest. If Coconino National Forest can do it, surely Tano can do it. And, you know, you guys have more pressure than us as individuals, so I'm hoping that maybe that can happen. The strategic plan looks like a really good process that's in the makings. It's a nice 5-year goal. Like Donna said, the mobile home parks, you know, this place was developed and founded on mobile home parks. They were here a lot, you know, they've been here a lot longer than most of us. I really like the idea of having a tiny home community. It would be an answer to some of our dilapidated mobile home parks, that we could create a tiny home community for those type of areas. So, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to request that we get together with Tess, I guess is her last name, and work something out through Al and.
Yeah, so, yes, sir.
And a quick comment concerning the signage. One of the things that we're working on, we have a meeting coming up here very shortly with with not only Public Works, but also the Parks and Rec, where we're talking about that as well. Any other comments from the City Council?
I have a comment, Your
Yes.
Honor. You know, I also like the idea of the tiny home communities, but I think it's important to remember, yes, we have mobile homes that are dilapidating. And while it's a fresh new idea and they're fresh and new places to live, they're not cheap. We've looked into it. People think that because it's tiny home and they're not. You'd be surprised. You would think it right off the hand it would be affordable living for low income. It's not necessarily. So I don't know a good answer, but I do like the tiny home ideas as well. All we can do is try.
Okay, we'll dismiss the meeting. Thank you.